Hey everybody, it's Emily at ARG Schooling, and today I have a very exciting announcement for you. So the month of March has been dubbed March Through History, and we're doing a readathon. I am so excited. I've been wanting to host a readathon for years now, but I just never quite knew what it was going to be. I wanted it to have a purpose, so I wanted to come up with an idea where I felt like I was contributing something to the booktube community. And it occurred to me recently that there was no readathon for historical fiction, and it was bothering me a lot because that is my go-to genre. I mostly read historical fiction. I mean, I read a lot of variety, but my go-to genre has always been historical fiction. And I feel like it is such an underrated genre on booktube, and I don't know why. It's fun to read, there's so much variety. So Sarah and I have decided that we would use this opportunity to host a readathon where we could just read and indulge ourselves in all the historical fiction. So March is going to be a historical fiction readathon. So from March 1st to March 31st, we are reading all of the historical fiction. And of course we have challenges. We created this whole little bingo board style thing for you guys to do all the challenges. I am so excited about all of them. I love coming up with reading challenges. The challenges are: read a book with a gown on the cover. This is so common in historical fiction. There are so many books with women in gowns, so the options are limitless. Read a historical fantasy. I've been finding myself reading a lot of historical fantasy lately, and I love it. Historical fantasy is really just any kind of historical fiction where there's elements of fantasy involved. If you read The Night Circus in January with the ARG Booked Book Club, that's historical fantasy. It's a historical fiction in that it takes place in a historical time period that does exist in our world, but has elements of fantasy in it. Read a book that is medieval. I adore medieval historical fiction. I don't know what it is, but I've romanticized it in my head. And even though it's a very gritty and dark time for a lot of people, I enjoy reading that. Read about a period or event you've never read about before. There are so many. Like, a lot of people tend to think of historical fiction as being like World War II books, and I read those. There's a lot of them, but there is so many different time periods to read about. Some you may have never heard of before, so go explore your library and see what new things you can find. Read a historical mystery or thriller. Historical fiction isn't just one thing. There are so many genres within it. Like I said, historical fantasy is one, but so is mysteries and thrillers. So if you love reading thrillers and mysteries, find one that has a historical time period involved. Read a middle grade book. I love middle grade fiction anyway, but there's some really great middle grade historical fiction. Read a historical romance. Again, if you love romance as a genre, find a historical romance to read this month. There are many. This is going to be me stepping out of my comfort zone to choose this genre as something to read, because that's not a thing I typically gravitate towards, but I'm broadening my horizons in March. Read a young adult historical fiction. Read a book with LGBTQ+ rep. I want to bring diversity into our historical fiction this month. There are so many diverse historical fiction options, so find one with LGBTQ rep. Read a book that is non-European. Again, diverse fiction. There are books that take place in Asia, books that take place in Africa. So find some great diverse historical fiction to read this month. Read a book that has a map or a family tree in it. If you don't know what this means, what I mean by that is, obviously know what a map is, but by family tree, some historical fiction will have something like this in it, where it kind of gives you the lineage of a house or a family line, so you can see like how the Tudor family began and that sort of thing. So find a book that has that in it. And finally, read our ARG Booked Book Club selection for March. This month we're going to be reading a historical fiction, of course, in March. Because it is the March Through History Readathon, I wanted to make sure our book club was also lining up with that. So in the month of March, the ARG Booked Book Club is going to be reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And by the way, this ticks off several challenges. So if you want to double up, absolutely do so. If you want to triple up, quadruple up, do it. This is a book with a gown on the cover. This is a book with LGBTQ plus rep. This is the book club selection. This could be considered historical romance. So this could work for quite a few of the categories in the challenge. So don't feel intimidated. You could absolutely read like 3 or 4 books in the month of March and still tick off all the challenges. We also have a Twitter account if you want to follow that. Sarah's going to be in charge of running the Twitter because I'm terrible at Twitter. Sarah's going to be running the March Through History Twitter account. I'm going to leave the links down below for you if you want to follow. I think she's going to be doing reading sprints and other things to keep you inspired during the readathon in March. I'm going to be doing some Instagram stories on my Instagram account, which is also linked down below. I don't know if I'm going to do live shows or anything like that, but I'm going to do something on my Instagram. So stay tuned for that. I'm also planning on doing some kind of weekly vlog, either a weekly vlog or several weekly vlogs in the month of March, or based around the readathon. So that's a thing you can be looking for. I'm very excited. It's going to be great. I'm going to be doing a video with recommendations really soon. So if you don't know where to go, if you don't know what to pick up, I'm going to try to hook you up with some great recommendations. And I'm just so excited. I hope you guys join in and participate. I hope this becomes a thing. I would love for this to be like an annual readathon that we come back and do every year, because there's so many historical fiction books that I want to read, so I really want this to be a thing that takes off. I hope you join us in March. The entire month is going to be dedicated to my favorite genre, historical fiction. If you have any ideas or recommendations for things you want to see in the month of March for my Instagram, live shows, vlogs, whatever, let me know in the comments. If you have recommendations for any of the challenges, leave them in the comments so we can all chat about it. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye.